TheDiceBag.blog. Hello and welcome back. You can follow our post on Twitter and Facebook at DirtleMTG to stay up to date on our latest videos and other posts, and you can join a more robust discussion about Casual Commander at our blog, TheDiceBag.blog. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this content to help the channel and the blog grow. Another way you can support the channel, though, is through our affiliate links in the description below. If you're looking for single sealed product or gaming accessories to protect all of that glory, please consider clicking the links in the description. Now, grab some spells, it's time to dirtle. Hello and welcome back to Dirtle Magic. Today we're going to try out some Obuun Daya Ancestor. Looking at our opening hands, no lands equals a straight mulligan. Our second hand, yeah, we have some lands. Crop rotation, Lotus Field, although crop rotation's usually to get Lotus Field, so we can keep this though, this should be good. Our commander is Obuun Daya Ancestor, 1 red, green, white for legendary 3/3 elf spirit. At the beginning of combat on our turn, up to 1 target lane we control becomes an XX elemental creature with trample and haste until end of turn, where X is Obuun's power, it's still a land. Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under our control, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Our first opponent with a woodland chasm into play, which is a snow dual land by the way, is Volrath the Shapeshifter, 2 black, green, blue for a legendary 7/5 Phyrexian Shapeshifter. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a -1/-1 counter on 1 target creature. 1 until end of turn, this becomes a copy of target creature with a counter on it, except it's 7/5 and has this ability. Our second opponent with Volrath the Molten Pinnacle into play is Wort the Raid Mother, 2 Gruul for a legendary 3/3 Goblin Shaman. Whereas the battlefield, create 2 1/1 red and green Goblin Warrior creature tokens, and each red and green instant sorcery spell you cast has Conspire, which is you can tap 2 creatures that share a color with it to copy it. Our turn gives us a plains. Let's go ahead, play a mountain, and pass it off. And our last opponent is the Locus God, 4 blue-red for a legendary 4/4 creature god. Flying, whenever you draw a card, create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature token with flying and haste. 2 blue-red, draw a card, then discard a card. When the Locus God dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. Definitely a powerful commander. Glad it got reprint in one of the more recent commander decks, but unfortunately it's just so combo-tastic, we will have to keep an eye on that. A mountain into play for the Locus God, followed by Soul Ring. And we're off to the races. The Locus God taps down the Soul Ring and passes it off. To Volrath's turn, a land followed by Forseek. So they get to get anything besides a forest, technically speaking. Rimewood falls into play for Volrath. Wort sees a forest followed by Birds of Paradise. To our turn, we get Withered Wayfarer. That's pretty good. Let's do Clifftop Retreat and get that down. Still missing a basic green source. That is somewhat concerning, but I think we'll be able to fix it. Vivid Crag into play on the Locust God's turn, and that's it. They just tap it down and pass it off. To Volrath's turn, Tireless Tracker coming down. Okay. Swamp into play. That's basically a landfall trigger there. And they get a clue. Wort's turn sees a mountain, tapping down some mana for Oracle of Daya. Are we the only ones playing landfall, or is that a thing now? I don't know. Beast Within on top, they do get a mountain off the top to play in addition. We get Vesuva. Not the best. Let's go ahead and activate our Withered Wayfarer. Let's get the Thorn Glint Bridge and go ahead and play it tapped, and we'll pass it off there. I did include these because they do have Indestructible, and our commander's ability animates our lands, so that way we can toss them at people and not generally have to worry about them. That's also why the Lotus Field is in here, because it has Hexproof. It's also just a good land. Over to the Locust God, Mountain into play. Archmage Ascension into play for the Locust God. Let's see what it does. Okay, so it basically allows tutoring as long as they draw enough cards to put enough counters on it. Yep, that needs some removal. To be fair, it looks like everyone's being fairly menacing or developing a good board state, except maybe us. We haven't hit too many of our 2-drop ramps either, so I am somewhat concerned. Volrath's turn, another landfall trigger. And it's Wandering Archaic. Whenever an opponent casts an instant sorcery spell, they may pay 2. If they don't, Volrath gets to copy that spell. Tireless Tracker on the attack. It's off into the Locust God. That's fine with me. Damage is good. Locust God down to 37. Volrath passing it off. I'm worried that Volrath is going to get down and kill our Withered Wayfarer. At least he got one activation off, but we'll see how things go. Wort's turn. Beast Within off the top. Claim Defiance on top otherwise. Yeah, Wort's pretty good with the X spells. Let's see if they attack anywhere. They did move straight to combat without a land drop, so that's interesting. No, Wort just threw the turn. I guess they're keeping up mana for that Beast Within. We get Ancient Green Warden. Not too helpful at the moment, but will be better later. Let's go ahead and play Garrick's Uprising. And then we'll play the Lotus Field. We do have to sacrifice 2 of our lands. We'll sacrifice Clifftop and the Mountain, because we have no other green sources. And we'll pass it there. The Locus God with Isolation Cell. Whenever an opponent casts a creature spell, that player loses 2 life unless they pay 2. Over to Volrath. Turn 5, not much happening so far. A clue gets sacrificed for Volrath. Tireless Tracker gets larger. Landfall trigger. They get another clue token. Simic Signet coming down for them. And Tracker is on the attack along with the Wandering Archaic. Alright, so we're taking the Archaic. Yeah, I guess we won't block. Let's just go ahead, let it through. We'll go down to 36. The Tireless Tracker is off over into Wort, so at least they're spraying it around, I suppose. Wort takes the damage there, also down to 36. Volrath passes it off. Ooh, we have Beast Within. I hope they don't target our Garrick's Uprising. That would kinda suck. Wandering Archaic went to copy it. The Wort did pay the 2. Beast Within is going to destroy the Wandering Archaic. There it goes. Wandering Archaic is a very cool card. I don't know where particularly you'd use it, but I don't know, like the ceiling I think is really high, but I think the floor is very low, so that makes it harder to use. Over to Wort the Raid Mother. Ulash, the Hate Seed on top. I just like saying that name. And that is, I don't know if you could call it the Gruul Champion from the original Ravnica block, but that's basically the slot it filled. And it does some stuff. You do have to jump through extra hoops to get it to really work, but I do like the design of the card. Omnath Locus of Rage coming down for Wort. I'm telling you, we are playing the weakest landfall deck at the table right now. Isolation Cell did trigger. We're also having a clue sacrificed by Volrath. To our turn, we get a forest. Let's play a mountain. And I think here we can get down our commander. Seems alright. And we'll tap the Lotus Field for white. Go ahead, cast our commander. And we cannot pay the 2, so we will lose 2 life. Down to 34 we go. And then we'll go ahead and activate our Weathered Wayfarer to go get another land out of our deck. I guess we'll get Field of the Dead. Originally with Thespian Stage and Vesuva, I did have the Dark Depths in here, but I thought that might be a little bit too cliche. We'll go ahead and pick the Lotus Field on combat. It becomes a creature, and we'll just pass it off there since it is tapped down. I do wish Obuun said untap the land. That would make the commander so much better. The reason I still pick Omnath 3-color over Obuun for my personal landfall deck is this one seems just kind of lackluster in my opinion. Although it does give access to white, and white has some interesting landfall effects, especially for control. But it doesn't untap the land, and all he does for landfall is give a counter to something. So he also doesn't have like the card draw or the burn that I like for my elementals either, so for me it was an easy choice. But to each their own. The Locus God with Zet Charm, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. That'll do something good for the Archmage Ascension. Well, for them anyway. So it will get 1 counter, putting them closer to, if you would draw a card, tutor for something you need instead. To be fair, it does shut off the Locus Guard's triggered ability, so keep it around maybe? The tutoring is very dangerous though. They discard Psychosis Crawler and Arcanus the Omnipotent, so yeah, they're all in on that draw plan. Guess they're looking for a mana source because they haven't dropped one just yet, so that might be something. Locus God taps down the rest and just passes it. Okay. Archmage Ascension does the triggering thanks to the Zet Charm. It will need 6 or more quest counters on it, so we got a little bit of time here. Over to Volrath, immediately tapping down some mana. They have a plan. It's Volrath the Shapestealer. Deadly Rollick, straight into Omnath's face. And it goes down exiled too. Deadly Rollick, good card. I hear free is good. To combat, Volrath slapped around the Oracle of Daya. It's a 1/1 now. I don't know if Obuun is offended by that or not. Volrath is an interesting commander because a 7/5 for 5 is nothing to sneeze at, and then it can become anything as a 7/5. Its triggered ability otherwise is just weird. Let's see where the attacks are going. We're taking a 5/4. I guess we will take that. We have a beast going off into the Locus God. We are down to 29, Locus God down to 34. We are taking a bit of a beating here. Volrath the Shapestealer will become a copy of the Daya. Volrath the Shapestealer will become a copy of the Oracle of Daya. That's land into play. Tireless Tracker triggers, they get a clue. And they sack a clue. We do have removal in the deck. We just haven't drawn that or the ramp. We are drawing some of our larger stuff though. I just don't know if we're going to survive long enough to get there. Avenger of Zendikar coming down. Yeah, that's a card. We do have that in the deck, of course. Avenger of Zendikar are pretty ubiquitous to land decks. Landfall trigger. Avenger makes all the plants a little bit more hardy. And another landfall trigger. Mog Infestation on top. Destroy all creatures target player controls. For each one destroyed that way, make some goblins. Could be interesting if you have something like Overwhelming Splendor or Elish Norngran Cenobite out and they just all immediately die. But that's an extra hoop to jump through you usually don't need. No attacks out of Wort. Rolling on over to us. Hopefully we draw something kind of like in the middle tier of our deck so we can cast it. That'd be nice. Knight of the Reliquary. Some more land search. Not terrible, but not something I was necessarily looking for. Let's go ahead and play a forest. We'll go ahead and give a counter to Obuun, although he is completely exposed with no protection as of yet. And I do want some defenses. I don't know what Volrath might do to the board though, so this might be a waste. Ancient Green Warden into play, however. We do lose 2 life and we'll get to draw a card. We'll target the Lotus Field, that's fine. We'll become a creature. Let's not attack anywhere, and we'll pass it off. The Locus God's turn sees Monetary Siege coming down. I imagine they're going to pick Cons if they're all in on the draw plan. Cons is where at the beginning of their draw step they draw 1 additional card then discard. Dragons is spells your opponents cast that target permanent you control, or you. Cost 2 more to cast, so it's basically kind of like part of a ward on you and your creatures and your stuff. Used it in Lind. I've been testing out Lind in paper. I gotta say the deck needs politics for sure. They do choose Cons for the Monastery Siege. They tap it down and pass it off. Not much developing on the Locust God, probably biding their time. Volrath and Wort are really heading into this game strong still, and we are just not really getting to like the meat of our deck. We do have Omnath, but it's probably going to die, but we'll have to see how things go. Volrath is becoming a copy of the Oracle one more time. Cabal coffers into play for them otherwise, which is not the best. They crack a clue, and they crack another clue. Landfall trigger. Taurus Tracker makes yet another clue. Volrath may be digging for something. Another land into play. Ongoing investigation coming down for Volrath, so more clues. So I guess it could be a clue deck. Volrath is just kind of, you can just put anything you want behind it, really. Volrath on the attack against the Locust God. That's commander damage right there. Damage is good there, up to 7 commander, down to 27 normally, and ongoing investigation triggers for the first time this game. I wonder if they have Locus in the deck. I did see a couple of things saying between the Clue Commander that came in the pre-constructed Wilhilt deck and Locus that they wanted to make a Sultai one. Makes sense. Delthy Voidwalker also coming down. Very cheap graveyard hate and can steal stuff. Good card, but probably should have cost like 4 mana. Volrath is tapped down at the moment. Could potentially have the other free spells, the Fog and the Counterspell. Wort's turn, they could overwhelm them fairly easily and deal a lot of damage. Not necessarily kill them, but it would be interesting. Wort straight to the attacks on their turn. All of their tokens off into Volrath. No land drop beforehand, so that's interesting. Taurus Tracker intercepts, Beast intercepts. Volrath takes 8 down to 28. Second main phase for Wort. Got some mana tapping. Arachnogenesis on top, by the way. Very good card. It's Ulash, the Hate Seed. Let's see if they pay the 2 for the sell. They do not. They just take it down to 30. Looks like they went to pay it and just misclicked. I just saw Velkut tap down, so that's too bad. Yeah, Cell's doing a lot of work. A card I have to keep in mind. Ulash, 1 damage to target creature, is going to target the beast, and the beast goes down. To our turn, we get a Maria Shepherd. Could be good. Let's play Clifftop Retreat from our graveyard. We get some double triggers. We'll put a counter on our Green Warden and Obuun. Let's go Trove Warden. We'll pay the 2 this time. We really have to because we're getting pretty low on life. I mean, it's not less than half, but things will add up pretty quick. And then let's go Crop Rotation. We will sacrifice the forest. Let's go ahead and do Fabled Passage. A number of other triggers. Our mountain gets exiled under the Warden. It is not a May trigger, so we do have to be careful about that. And then we'll go ahead and crack the Fabled Passage. Unfortunately, the other parts of our things are getting exiled. Let's get a forest. Obuun will get 2 more 1/1 counters on it. Let's go to combat. We will select the forest. And we will attack into the Volrath player. See if they want to block with anything. They do not. They take it down to 19. Alright, let's just pass it off. The Voidwalker getting rid of our lands is going to be somewhat troublesome, although this land doesn't really depend on reanimating, or this deck doesn't really depend on reanimating our land, so it's not too bad. Over to the Locus God's turn. Monastery Siege triggers for the first time this game. They'll get another counter on their Ascension, at the end of turn anyway. The Locust God taps down their mana and just passes it off. Okay, interesting. Unfortunately, it doesn't help us with Volrath. The Ascension does trigger at end of turn. To Volrath's turn, Tyrus Tracker, landfall trigger. Gonna be happening a lot. Let's see, Arachnogenesis on top for the Rides deck still. Dauthi Voidwalker, let's see what they get to play. Going to be one of our spells? Oh, Obuun the Shifting Flame got into exile. That's a pretty good card. Can do some interesting combos. It's Obuun the Shifting Flame. Yep, big creature that refills your hand with new options every turn, not too shabby. They do not pay for the Isolation Cell, they go down to 17. Mind Maze Tome. Well, that's on flavor for the Obuun. Volrath with a clue to sacrifice. Tyrus Tracker gets bigger. And another clue goes away. 3 visits, Obuun will trigger. And another landfall trigger. Volrath copying the Oracle again. And another landfall. Torment of Hailfire. Again, man, that's annoying. Alright, well, at least the Dauthi's gone. We can easily discard our lands. Neither really quite sure. Gonna keep a Maria Shepherd. We can always tutor out for a Plains right now, so that's not too bad. We'll be taking a bunch of life loss here. Torment of Hailfire not gonna make anybody a friend of theirs, though. In either case, I'll see you on the other side of this. I think I mentioned in a game prior to this, though. I do much prefer to be exsanguinated, just because that usually ends a game. Torment takes a little bit long to resolve. Okay, and the Lotus God quits the game. That's unfortunate. Didn't seem to do much, but they seem primed to do something almost every turn, so... Interesting. We did sacrifice and discard a bunch of stuff. Namely, kept our biggest guys. Taking 10 wouldn't be the best. We have fresh meat. They get a 3/3 token for each creature they had that died this turn. Nice. Good recovery on Wort. So they can kill us, potentially. Or they can kill Volrath, but not both of us, so we have a coin flip. We did sacrifice the Trove Warden. We get a landfall trigger. Let's go ahead and make Moldaya bigger so we can block the Tireless Tracker, hopefully, and kill it. And that should be good. We did lose the ability to get a Plains, except from our graveyard with the Ancient Green Warden. So I'm thinking a Mary Shepherd, Plains, get Omnath down, and go from there depending on what we draw. If Volrath attacks anywhere, it's probably going to be into us. Okay, they don't attack. I was going to say, I don't know if I would try taking it or not. They are tapped down, so I think I'd be able to block with our commander. But we'll see how things go with Wort. This could be game for any one of us right here. I'm hoping it's not game for us. Valakut is almost active as well on Wort's side, so that's also pretty dangerous. Wort straight to the attacks. Everything into Volrath. That works for me. Unfortunately, we did lose Trample. I did have to sacrifice the Garruk's Uprising because we were losing too much life. We could potentially get back the Garruk's Uprising with Emeria Shepherd. That wouldn't be too bad. Volrath and the Tyrus Tracker were on the block. The Volrath player down to 5. Keeping them alive is no bueno, but we also might die to Wort. Wort hasn't cast any big X spells yet. Charmbreaker Devil's on top, by the way, for them. To our turn, we get Pier's Whim. Not something we can cast right now. Let's go ahead and do the Emeria Shepherd. Let's play Plains from the graveyard. And I guess we get back in Garruk's Uprising, rather. Let's get back Omnath since we do have a double trigger and the Uprising. Play from the Loam, not too bad. Omnath into play, we get to draw another card. Terramorphic Expanse. Did play the land for the turn, by the way, though. Alright, really quick, let's just do Life from the Loam. Get that out of the way. Get back Vesuva and Field of the Dead. Make a bunch of zombies, assuming we survive. Go to attacks. Close field into a creature. Probably, if I'd remembered that, might have won us the game there, so that is a big oof. So let's take the chance. Go ahead and roll over on Wort. Arachnogenesis, there we go. And some extra blockers. So they could potentially kill our Green Warden, which wouldn't be too shabby. Alright, let's just pass it off. Over to Volrath. Also, Urborg into play for the Volrath player. So they immediately crack a bunch of mana. Tyrus Tracker, they sacrifice a clue. Going to draw up some cards, look for an answer. Wort again could kill either one of us because I was a dum-dum. Volrath the Shapestealer coming down. Could copy our commander. It has counters on it. They don't have any lands in the graveyard, so that's fine. They could also copy Ulash, but that wouldn't make much sense. 2 combat, they're putting a counter on Omnath. That's fine. Will they become a copy of it, though? Over to us? Okay, yeah, we'll just block with Omnath, I suppose. And we'll deal 3 damage to one of the beasts over on Wort's side. Hopefully that'll keep us alive long enough to do something. The way I figure it, they have less potential to break through and murder us. We don't hit Volrath because we can get them with a Mary Shepherd, assuming they don't have some kind of response, which I imagine they will. And just try to overrun our opponents that way, because Wort would have to commit to the attack with a lot of critters. And we can block and kill at least one of them, so I think this is the best move so far. Of course, again, that being said, I could crack somebody with my land, but whatever. Oko, Thief of Crowns. Man, that sucks. Alright, they're making their artifact an elk. The Mind Maze Tome. Alright, so an extra blocker. That's cool, I suppose. I appreciate they didn't nuke our commander into sheepishness. Thrumming Bird coming down. I guess I should say elkishness. We have Ulash the Hate Seed at the end of turn, making a Saproling. Trying to bust through all those defenses. That could get out of hand pretty quick. On the bright side, if they go one more, we can at least trade with Ulash. I would prefer to keep Emeria down, though. Okay, 1 damage to the Thrumming Bird. And they create a Saproling. And another Sap. So they could have an overrun effect in hand. That could be something, too. If they have that, that'll be pretty bad for us. Another Sap into play. Over to Wort's turn, Harmonize on top. Again, they could recast their commander, but at this point, I don't think it'll do anything. Bunch of Saplings off against Volrath so far. Spiders off against Volrath. And the beast off against us. Ulash off into Volrath. Okay. So yeah, we can block and kill a beast. I'm still worried if they have a combat trick, though, because we do need a Mary Shepherd for our stuff to get going. Let's actually just take the 9. It is pretty risky here, but I want to keep the Shepherd. Even if they boost by 2, we'll still be alive at 3, and the last point's as good as 40 points. Volrath also intercepts, and they have a response. Ongoing investigation, they gain 2 life. We go down to 9, Volrath down to 2. Wort tapped out on creatures more or less, but their mana's still totally up. 3 cards in hand for them currently, and they are about to cast something. Mog Infestation, destroy all creatures we can... Ah, man. Damn it. Alright, well there's nothing we can do about that. We'll put our commander in the command zone. No recursion currently. We will draw a card. No dredge from the life from the loam. It's a forest. Let's go ahead and get our commander back down. Then I suppose we do need another blocker. Let's go Field of the Dead. That should give us a zombie. We'll put a counter on Obuun. Let's go combat. Put the ability onto the Thorn Bridge. Sorry, Thorn Glint Bridge. Damn it, and I accidentally clicked through the attack. Well, misplays this game and last are starting to get to me a bit. Over to Volrath's turn. Leaving them any amount of time to survive is not my favorite. Landfall for Volrath. Oko creates a food token. Mnemonic Betrayal. Exile cards from all opponents' graveyards and you may cast them this turn. So basically they get to steal them for a turn, cast them with any color of mana, and bad things get to happen. Avenger of Zendikar gets chosen. Makes sense. Unfortunately, we don't have a flyer to help get Volrath out of the game because it got destroyed by a Mog Infestation. Clan Defiance, 9 damage to us, and we are out of the game. And Volrath on the attack, off into Wort. Can they break through? Yeah. That's going to be lethal pretty much. So, Volrath wins the game, coming back at 2. Yeah, those misplays at the end of the game were just not good. Oh, and that Mog Infestation just ripped us apart. That was real bad. And there it is. You know, I can't decide. Let's just let the computer do it. And there it is, 3 points to us. 1 point over into the Locus God player, and 2 into the winner. Let's go ahead and take a real quick look at the deck. Landfall is well tread, so we won't spend too much time on it. Alright, here's the deck. And if you want to check this out in detail, you can find a link to the deck list in the description below. But it's a lot of the basic landfall stuff in the colors we can get it in. Unfortunately, again, those misplays just really... I don't know if they cost us the game, but I certainly could have played it better. There's definitely a better way to go about things. We also didn't hit too much of our big stuff. We didn't hit too much of our ramp. So I don't feel like this is the best showing of the deck. Because of how the scheduling is working with Crimson Vow for Magic Online, assuming it comes out on time, Might revisit this deck one more time, so stay tuned, might come back to this, might do a different commander. In your case, just to go over some of the stuff you might see, Omnath Locus of Rage, Avenger of Zendikar, the Emerius Shepherd, a really good landfall card, especially in white. Admonition Angel, get rid of things. Geode Rager's in here for the goad mechanic, plus I just love elementals. Murag, Fury of Akum. This one's kind of iffy, I haven't gotten to test it yet. Sure, it gives us another attack, but I don't know if it's going to work in here so much. Nesting Dragon, which they should have put in Obuun, the precon. Don't know why, because I just don't know. Ashaya, Soul of the Wild. You get it, it's landfall. A few things I think white brings to the table besides Emerius Shepherd, though, is the ability to use Knight of the Reliquary, which I rather like because it gets larger for lands in the graveyard. And red does have a few cards that care about lands being in the graveyard, although the only one in here specifically right now is the Cavalier of Flame. This gives haste to our creatures potentially. It also lets us do some card selection, and when it dies, it deals X damage to each opponent and each planeswalker they control, where X is the number of lands in your graveyard. Do not underestimate this card, rather. I have it in my Omnath deck, especially if I can somehow copy it or something. And it just goes and kills people out of nowhere. They either have to take a 6 damage guy, or they have to take whatever land cards I have in my graveyard. Notably on that note, I did take out Scapeshift. I do try to keep these decks cheaper as I go along, but Scapeshift would be a great card to pair alongside the Cavalier of Flame. And that's it. Again, landfall deck. If you want to check out the whole deck list, again in the description below. Stay tuned, we might revisit this one just before Crimson Vow again. Hopefully I don't misplay so much, and maybe we can see something else that happens in the deck. Maybe get some more of that ramp going. And maybe see what Obuun can really do for us. Not to mention remembering that I can animate my lands, which is usually something I do in mass, and not singularly because I'm used to playing a different kind of landfall deck. In either case, until the next video, whatever it happens to be, stay safe out there.